So why every 3 years? Well, if you think back 3 years ago, what we have found at TreaSolution annually, we do a Treasury survey. And we release the results. And what we have found is that there seems to be every 3 years a systemic change in the amount of cash management tools that are offered in the marketplace. Year after year, there isn't that large of an incremental change. But once you reach 3 years, then things start to change materially. So let's think, 3 years ago, what was the marketplace like in the treasury management field? What services were being offered? What can you incorporate now that can make your treasury group more efficient and more secure? So some of the rapid industry change examples that I've listed here are regulations. And we were just talking about regulations on the healthcare side, which are terribly or affecting that industry materially. Same thing on the financial side with Dodd-Frank. I mean, that's affecting the banks and how they relate to their customers. So how is that going to affect your bank relationships and the services that you use? Mobile banking and remote deposit capture. Mobile banking just came up the last couple of years in regards to its popularity and whether or not corporate practitioners want to utilize them. ASP Treasury workstations. So these are workstations that are delivered over the internet. I mean, granted, they were around 3 years ago, but to the extent and to the popularity that they are now, probably not. And then Swift for corporates, and then EVAM. Anyone familiar with EVAM? Using it? So EVAM is a new standard that's out in the marketplace now. It stands for Electronic Bank Account Maintenance. So if you want to open an account with your bank electronically, you can do so. If you want to change signers with your bank electronically, you can do so. All within this standard that's called EVAM, which is a new development, which is starting to pick up momentum. And it's something that can materially affect the operations of a treasury group, especially if you're going through a merger or you're consolidating bank accounts. Another reason for every 3 years is because of treasury personnel turnover. If you think about your treasury department, 3 years ago, were the same people in place there? Hopefully they were, but chances are they weren't. Chances are you have at least one new person within your treasury group. So what does that mean? If there's one new person, you have hopefully you have great resources coming into your treasury department. But the converse is true too. You had a resource there that knew a lot, that left, one way or another, that you're trying to replace. Therefore, how do you document that particular skill set? How do you ensure that that is going to be actively communicated to the new person that's coming on board? The time and cost commitment is lower every time you do it every 3 years. So the whole Sarbanes-Oxley document where you're doing 404 documentation, which is the documentation of internal controls. The argument was that every year you do it, it's just going to be a small incremental cost because you're just documenting the changes. That really didn't happen to that didn't really turn out to be the case with Sarbanes-Oxley. But I've seen it implemented with the Treasury review every 3 years, and that is indeed the case. So the first time you do a Treasury review, it's a large project. You're documenting processes, you're documenting personnel responsibilities, you're documenting internal controls, and so forth. But each subsequent year, you're just documenting the change in those processes, the change in the tools that you're using, the change in your personnel responsibility, and so forth. And then you improve internal controls and efficiency. Again, the whole idea with the Treasury review is to, 1, make your Treasury department more secure, and then 2, make it more efficient. So you're looking at internal controls, and you're looking at what processes and where the separation of duties are, and then you actually go ahead and incorporate it from there. Yes, you have a question?
I cover the middle market banks, Bank of America, and the breadth of our clients range from $200 million to $5 billion in annual reviews. And the feedback that I've gotten is that they want to see us once a year for a treasury review.
Sure.
So I'm wondering where you got the 3-year number from, and is that industry specific?
Yeah, I think we might be talking about two different things. And just to repeat the question, you work in the middle market from $200 million to $5 billion. You're saying your clients are saying they want to see their banks come in and review the treasury relationship every year. I would term that kind of a project more of a bank report card project, where you're actually reviewing the bank relationship and the services. What I'm speaking about in this regard is the processes that are involved with sending the wire. So I doubt that when you're going and viewing and you're visiting with your client, you're looking to see if analyst A is entering and analyst B is confirming and manager C is sending.
Right, we don't get that granular
Yes.
typically. It's more, are there redundant processes that we can eliminate?
Right.
Or are there enhanced services that we can add? So we do get somewhat kind of knee-deep in, what your back office processes are, you consolidated staff, are you combining and becoming shared service centers to where a more comprehensive solution would be preferable over a traditional bifurcated at the moment, things like that. But I've never gotten as granular as what Anna was saying and what
Right.
she does.
And to oversimplify it, I hear you say, we're going to review things at a 5,000-foot level.
Right.
And with this type of project, the whole point is to get to the 100-foot level. I want to see who is entering the wire. I want to see where the separation of duties are with internal controls and so forth. Now, to your point, I think a project like this could help facilitate that conversation even more. Because the practitioners then can say, here's our environment. Here are our internal controls, here's our bank relationships, here are the services that we're using. Let's have a conversation about our bank relationship and the services that you can offer and that we're utilizing currently. Thanks for your question.